Good afternoon. It's
Yes.
a blessing to be here. I have a little problem. I've been creating virtual reality for a long time without knowing, as a mechanism of defense from pain. But I still have situations, for example, and now I'm back in school, and I see myself playing games with myself. I know, for example, that I need to do a term paper, and I need to deliver it Wednesday, and today is Monday, and I say, oh, let's wait until tomorrow. And I know I'm going to feel worse, but I'll do it, and I know what I'm doing. And I always wait until the last minute.
Well, now, do not be hard on yourself about that, because part of you knows that whatever you need will be there whenever you need it. And so you don't wake up on Monday and say, I'm going to eat all the food for the week this week today because I'm wanting to get on top of this. And who knows, on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, I might not be able to find any food. And here I am in this wonderful city with all of these restaurants. So I think I'll just eat all of my meals today and get that over with because I want to be prepared for what comes up. You say, that's silly because in and out, in and out, in and out. You don't say, I think I will breathe all of my air today or try to get mine so that the others don't get it because you believe in this steady flow of air or oxygen. Mm-hmm. And so the same thing would be true. Whenever you focus, it comes. In other words, whenever you turn your attention to something, whenever you say, this is the moment in which I wish to do this or in which I wish to receive this, as you turn your attention, there it flows. When you find a very busy person, we are talking about a really extremely busy person, what you notice about that person, if they are successful in their life experience and happy in their life experience, is that they have the ability to focus upon whatever they're focused upon, and when they focus, powerful things happen, and so they focus powerfully in fun. They focus powerfully in clear attention when they're driving. They focus powerfully when they are writing something or receiving something. In other words, they're passionate in love. They're passionate in whatever they're giving their attention to. And this is a person who has learned to focus. And so we would not for a minute begin assigning to ourselves some negative characteristic by saying, I procrastinate. Because very often what that procrastination means is, I don't see any sense in getting my energy all scattered all over the place. I'll do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do this. Now, there is a difference between this philosophy that we have just expressed here and really not wanting to write the blasted paper to begin with, and because you don't want to do it, you just can't make yourself do it, and then you finally do it because you have no other choice. In other words, that's why April 15th is such a big day for so many of you. In other words, you're not procrastinating doing your taxes because you're waiting for inspiration. You're procrastinating doing them because you don't want to do them. You may not even be at one with the philosophy of them at all, you see. And so what it comes around to is you have to decide, and we think this is the point of your question. We can feel it forming within you, and it's a very good point. Why not keep myself in comfort? In other words, if I know that I'm going to do something, then why not find the perfect balance? And we say, with air, the perfect balance is in and out. With food, the perfect balance is in and out. With time, with perspective, the perfect balance is in and out. So you can diffuse your negative worry about this by beginning to say things to yourself like, I always get everything done. And I shine in a crisis because the crisis causes me to focus. But I don't have to wait for the crisis to cause me to focus. Esther's been toying with this because she's one of the busier people you will ever know. She and Jerry have many projects on their plate at all times, and they're doing a lot and moving across the country. In other words, their time is consumed with a lot of activity. And Esther's been teasing for a very long time, but meaning what she says, I shine in a crisis, she will say. And we always say to her, that's not a bad thing. The crisis just causes you to focus. And in truth, Esther doesn't have crises, but she does have deadlines, and these deadlines do push her. They do cause her to focus. So if the deadline causes her to focus, it's a good thing. But if the deadline puts pressure on her, then she's not utilizing it very well. And so recently Esther decided to break her responsibilities down into more bite-sized pieces, and on every day she writes what she needs to do in advance. In other words, there are some things that she does once a month, so she scheduled it on her calendar. There are some things she does every single week, so she scheduled it on her calendar. And then if she saw several things that were sort of piling up, she spread them over a few days so that it didn't all hit her on the same day and make her feel overwhelmed, you see. And what she discovered was now she has this very doable plan, which doesn't push her. It doesn't feel like crises, but it does cause her to focus. So she's having the benefit of focusing, which is what the crises gave her, without the discomfort of the crises. And so you might begin to say to yourself, I have this assignment, and of course it is due on this day, and I can very easily just sit down and do it all at once. Esther has actually discovered, as regards her taxes, she doesn't actually do the taxes. They have an accountant that they have used for many, many years who actually does the taxes. But Esther gathers all of the information. And it takes her about 3 days of very intense focus because she has her computer system set up and she can gather the information, and she does it efficiently, effectively, without anything slipping through the crack whatsoever. And Esther has discovered that 3 days of focusing at the beginning of March makes it happen for her in a very effective way, much more so than if she tried to tend to it on a weekly or monthly basis. In other words, she would spend 10 times the time doing it if she was trying to do it a little bit all the time. And so in terms of efficiency, it is much more efficient for her to wait until near the time, and beneficial to her too, unless it puts pressure on her that is uncomfortable. So as long as she's cleared that space where there are not other things that are calling her at the same time, it works fine. So what we are talking about here is time management. And we mean time management in a way that most physical humans don't mean it. We mean time balance. We mean energy balance within a period of time. We mean having the right amount of things to do or the right amount of action to take during a period of time that allows you to still feel good while you do it. One of the things that we think trips so many of our physical human friends up is that you have come to equate work with bondage and play with freedom. Just now, as Esther and Jerry received their luncheon tray in their sleeping room, very nice woman brought the food in. And Jerry and Esther's room is a normal sleeping room, but it has a very large window. And this morning, Esther pulled the curtains back as far as she could. The vista from the room is very, very beautiful. And so the room is bright and lovely. And the woman walked into this good-feeling room and looked out, and she said, "My, it is a beautiful day, isn't it?" And Esther said, "Oh, we are just loving it." And then the woman said, "I wish I could get out and enjoy it." And she's training herself into her bondage time. Esther thought when she left, they all stood there, looked out the same window, had the same moment in time, but the woman decided to make it an amplification of her inability to have more of that, rather than just savor the moment of having that, you see. It is a very common thing to say, I've only got so much time, and I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. And what we would say is, you don't have to do anything. You're doing everything because on some level you've chosen it. So as you say, I've chosen to go back to school. I've chosen to do this. I'm doing this because I want to do it, and this paper is part of my greater choice. Then you get into that freedom vibration instead of into that bondage vibration, and then everything flows much more comfortably. We would encourage you to realize that even if you were standing in some sort of handcuffed, bound bondage, that you are still free to perceive it in any way you choose. And since no one can control your thought, they can't bind your thought, then you are free to free yourself from any bondage. Because when you find thoughts that are not about bondage, nothing can contain you. Nothing can hold you, you see. And so it's all about deciding that you want to feel good and then choosing the freeing thoughts that do feel good rather than the binding thoughts that don't. So I have to do this. It's due. is a binding thought. I'm happy I joined this class, and it's exciting to see what will flow through me. That's a freeing thought. Mm-hmm. My teacher has given me a very difficult assignment is a binding thought. My teacher is trying to discover how much can flow through me is a freeing thought. My teacher expects too much is a binding thought. My teacher is evoking power through me is a freeing thought. My teacher doesn't know what she's doing is a binding thought. This is a wise woman is a freeing thought. In other words, you can just tell in every moment whether you are lining up with your power or not. One last thing about anything that has to do with deadlines. The most powerful material that has ever been produced in your human environment has come with a deadline. Because the deadline inspires focus, and the focus attracts the power.
Thank you.
When you reach the place that you can eagerly and easily say yes to that, then you're really upon your path. Because as long as an unfulfilled desire is painful to you, then you are not in the place where you are allowing it. If the new desire, even though it has not manifest, is still giving you that feeling of anticipation and eagerness, in other words, if you are glad for the unfulfilled desire, then you are understanding how you felt when you decided to come forth into this body to begin with. When you are feeling exhilarated about your unfulfilled desire, then you are still a vibrational match to it. But when you are uncomfortable about your unfulfilled desire, then you're not a vibrational match to it, and it cannot be fulfilled. Isn't that interesting? In your discomfort about something wanted, not yet achieved, that discomfort is a dominant vibration within you that does not match your desire. Very interesting. It explains everything, doesn't it? It explains why anyone who is desperate for anything cannot achieve it. It isn't until you give up on it. It isn't until you say, never mind. It isn't until you say, I'm just going to let this go. And you're not letting your desire go. You're letting your angst go. You're letting the dissension go. You're letting the mismatch go. You're letting the resistance go. You're letting the thing that is keeping you from having your desire go. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about law of attraction matching all of us up with what we are dominantly vibrating. It's a strong word and an important word. We deliver it to you intentionally here. Dominant. What is my dominant vibration? When you think about the subjects that are important to you, without question, you have a dominant vibration. In other words, when you think about the subject of money, does that subject feel to you like eagerness, enthusiasm, unlimitedness? Or does it feel to you like struggle, not enoughness, worry? You know. You can tell which way you feel. Now, many of you would say, well, Abraham, I feel some of all of that. And we say, good, then you can choose among all of that which feels best. When you think about your dominant relationship, does it feel free and fun and adventurous, or does it feel like hard work or struggle? You know. When you think about your body, do you feel strong, stable, vibrant, or do you feel tentative, unsteady, worried? You can tell, just with this little bit of multiple choice that we are offering to you, how you dominantly feel about these subjects that come up often. So what we are saying to you is, as you stand in your life experience, and contrast helps you to identify that you want more money, for example, but you are worried about your financial situation. In fact, you worry about it a lot. You dread going to the mailbox, or you feel uncomfortable about paying your bills, or you are envious of others who are doing better, or you are guilty for not doing better yourself, or you're just frustrated that there are things you want that you can't afford. In other words, what makes up the body of thought vibration relative to the subject of dollars within you? Are you dominantly free feeling or bound feeling?